Today's date is February 3rd, 2020. My name is Daniel Bradfield. I'm the oral historian for the Orange County Regional History Center, and I'm joined by
Alexandra Cicielonk. I am one Orlando Oral History Archivist.
And Thomas Thorsbecken, illustrated journalist.
And today we're interviewing
Ivonne Galanes.
Okay. This interview is being conducted as part of our efforts to collect interviews with the keepers of the Heritage Arts Collective. This interview is being conducted at Miss Galanes?
Galanes.
Home in Orlando, Florida. So to start off, when and where were you born?
I was born in San Juan, Puerto Rico, January 18, 1963.
Okay. And what was Puerto Rico like at the time?
Oh, it was very nice. I mean, it was a paradise. It's always been a paradise, but it was I have very fond childhood memories with my parents.
What did you do when you were a child, in like your spare time?
Drawing. Since I was, I would say, 3 years old. My first official drawing I did, which my mother kept her whole life. I had watched a movie about the crucifixion on our little black and white TV with the antennas. And it impressed me. The story impressed me so much and touched me that I went to my room to cry. And as I was crying, I did a drawing of the whole crucifixion. And my mother was like, she was so impressed, she kept it her whole life. And that was my first official drawing. And then after that, you know, my father, he enrolled me in the Art Students League in San Juan, several times. And then the rest is history, I would say. I just kept painting and drawing. And I did a lot of portraits of my grandparents too. Anyone who would sit for me, I would do a portrait for. So, yeah.
So, who is the oldest family relative you've ever met?
Oldest family relative. That's a good question.
Mm-hmm.
I would say my grandmother.
Was she... How old was she when you met her?
I don't recall, but I know she died at 89.
Okay.
Yeah.
Did she ever talk to you about, you know, what her life was like and things like that?
Oh, yes. She lived in New York through the whole Depression era.
Oh, wow.
So I learned many survival skills from her. You know, whether it be in the kitchen, because I love to cook also, you know, be very frugal with everything, with money, with food and everything. She taught me a lot. She taught me a lot of living skills, yeah.
What would she say about New York during the Depression?
Of course, that it was very hard. But she managed. My grandfather was a pastry chef. And she was a seamstress. And she worked for this famous brand, clothing brand. And it was going under because of the Depression. So my grandmother came up with this design for a nice top. And she made hundreds and hundreds of them, sewing by hand. And that's what brought the store back afloat.
Wow.
And the owner of the store was so grateful. And her brand became big after that. But then my grandparents moved to Puerto Rico after that. My mother was 14 years old when they moved to Puerto Rico. Yeah, and they stayed there till the remaining of their days. Yeah.
What would she... Did she have any other, like, stories about growing up either in Puerto Rico or life in New York or anything like that?
My grandmother? Yeah, she had a hard life. Her mother died when she was very young. So then when her father remarried, things weren't going on very good for her at the household, so she ran away from home. She ended up at no, be quiet.
It's fine.
It's a dog store.
Yeah.
For the record, it's a dog store.
Very cute dogs.
Quiet, Mina, quiet. So she ended up at an uncle's house in Ponce, Puerto Rico. And then I don't know how that evolved, but she actually became Miss Ponce for the Miss Puerto Rico contest.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, she was Miss Ponce. From there, she moved to Bayamon, and then from there, she moved to New York. And that's where she met my grandfather. And yeah,
You said your grandfather was a pastry chef?
Yeah, he was from Sweden.
Oh.
So you can imagine a Swedish guy with a Puerto Rican gal.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how that happened. I know they met in a dance somewhere. Yeah. Yeah. But yeah, and then when they brought my mom over to Puerto Rico, she was 14 years old, and she saw the ocean like for the first time, and those blue skies and the blue ocean and everything. She went nuts, and they went there just to visit, but they stayed. My grandfather was the one that went back to New York to pack everything up and then officially move.
I have.
Sorry, why don't you keep going? I'll entertain the dog.
I have a question about those life skills because, I wonder if there was anything specific that your grandma taught you that maybe when you were a girl you felt like, oh, what is my grandma talking about? And now later in life you really appreciate it or you found really practical.
Oh yeah, she taught me how to cook. My mother was working like all the time. She was working 2 jobs. So my grandparents basically raised me when my parents got divorced. So she taught me how to cook. She taught me how to sew. There was a time I was making my own clothes and everything. And she taught me like how to balance a budget. She always instilled in me the thing that you have to save money. Live frugal and save money for a rainy day. So that was very important. Yeah. Yeah, just basic stuff like that. And I'm very grateful. And she also enrolled me in piano lessons. Because she said she knew that I had an artistic talent. She said, you see, your art is for your whole life. You have to take your pick between ballet or piano, because I wanted ballet. I said, ballet, you only have a certain amount of years, but piano is for the rest of your life, like art. So she enrolled me in piano classes too. And I gave some concerts here and there.
Wow.
Yeah, with my fellow students. Fellow other students, And yeah, so she was right. I'm very grateful about that. Yeah.
And did you already say what were your parents doing for a living? Where did they work?
Yeah, my father was always an art director in different advertising agencies. I took that route. Yeah, after I left college, I took that route. So, and my mother was mainly like PR and assistants in hotels and stuff like that, yeah.
How did your parents meet?
They met at an advertising agency at my father's place of work. My mom was a secretary, he was the art director.
Wow.
Yeah.
Did you have any siblings?
Yeah, I have one brother, younger than me.
mentioned before we started recording.
Yeah.
You mentioned, yeah.
Yeah, he's in Puerto Rico now, but yeah, we're very close. He's very dear to me. Yeah, he's been there like no other person has in hard times. You know, he's there. He's my shoulder to cry on. I can tell him anything. My confidant, everything. Yeah, he's very good.
Growing up, was your family very religious?
A little bit, not as much. I mean, they did enroll me in a Catholic school, so they used to bring us to mass every week. So I didn't feel I had a need beyond that to go to mass on Sunday, since I already, I had nuns teaching me math, religion, everything. So yeah.
Did you like going to Catholic school?
At the time, no, but now I'm grateful for the discipline, for what I learned. I mean, by the time I switched schools in high school, because I did my last year in the Lucchetti School of Visual Arts, so it will help me get into Pratt. So by the time I left, when I went to this other school, I was like the second highest punctuation in the college board, because of the education I have gotten in my Catholic school. So I did very good. English class, oh my God, I wasn't allowed to raise my hand in English class in that school. Yeah. Because not you, go get me some coffee. So yeah, I learned a lot in that Catholic school. Even the writing skills and everything, grammar, I mean, you name it, yeah. I'm bilingual because of that too. Not only my upbringing at home was bilingual, but because of that school too. So yeah, I'm very grateful.
Did you have a favorite subject, or was that English?
My favorite subject was science. Yeah. So nowadays, whenever there's anything on TV, like those Nova, about space and planets and all that, yeah. I mean, I have my feet on the ground, but my head is in the stars. Yeah. That's where all the creative ideas come from.
When you were growing up, was your family politically active?
Well, they had their ideals, but not too much politically active. I mean, they voted and everything, and my parents were totally the opposite. My father was towards independence, and my mother was towards statehood.
So would you guys talk about it around a dinner table? Things like that?
I don't remember any about that, any arguments about that. No. Sometimes my father bring me to his rallies, and my mother would bring me to her rallies, and so.
Do you remember your parents arguing about it?
No. They argued about other stuff, but not about politics. Yeah.
When you were growing up, what were you taught about LGBT people? Do you remember anything?
When I was growing up, yeah, you would hear about it, but it wasn't I don't know, it wasn't a thing like it is now. It's a big theme, about that. But no, I didn't. No, I was very saddened about what happened here in Pulse, because I had a friend that was there at the time, and he was one of the few that survived. And well, those things, they affect me. And I did a painting. It was an angel called Angel of Healing, and the wings were like a rainbow of colors coming out like that, and the angel has his hands on his heart. And the friend of mine that survived, he fell in love with the painting so much that he bought it. And I told him, it's this much. Give me a year to pay it off. I want that painting. So yeah.
So how did you come up with the idea for that painting?
I don't know. It's like ideas that are in the air, and I just grab it, and then it's like dictation, and then it comes to my hand. I don't know. It's it's very strange. If I try to sit down and think about ideas, it won't happen. It's like a random thought that it's in the air. Yeah. I don't know. I just pick up the signal or something.
Have you ever had a problem where you just haven't had an idea for a little while? Almost like, kind of like writer's block or anything?
I don't understand the question. Like,
because I think about like if it comes kind of like organically to you. Have you ever had a time where you just haven't had an idea for, say, a couple weeks, couple months, or is it just kind of like a constant?
Yeah, and I struggle with those where I have to come with an idea, and like the Three Kings, they invited me for the exhibit for the Three Kings theme, and I didn't have any paintings related to the Three Kings or the Epiphany or nothing. And I struggled with that, so I started sketching. I had no models, so I started sketching, and then suddenly something came out. But the idea, I struggled with it because I first thought of 3 big faces. Well, that didn't work, to the garbage. I thought of something else, no, until finally the idea came through. And the rest was painting it and coming up with the colors and everything, so it came out.
So I'd like to talk about the Pulse stuff again later, if that's okay with you. So how did you, when you were in school, like in high school and things like that, did you know that you wanted to be an artist at that time?
Yes. 100%.
So after high school, that's where you went to the Pratt School of Design?
Yeah.
Did you apply anywhere else, or was that the only place you wanted to?
I also applied to some other school I forgot the name, in California. But then I thought that I was terrified of earthquakes. And look what's happening in Puerto Rico now. So I decided for the cold in New York, and but it was very hard. The cold in New York, I wasn't used to that.
Wow.
Being in the heat my whole life. Yeah.
So what was New York like when you first moved there?
It was a totally different world for me. I mean, the fact that so many museums, I mean, the Frick collection, the MoMA, the Met was the most impressive to me. That, you could only see it in 2 days because one day was like not enough to really appreciate it. That was impressive to me. That was very impressive. And every chance I got, I would take the subway and go to the Met. And oh my God, so many people, talented people outside on the street, artists, portrait artists, musicians, trying to get tips from their work there. It was very, very impressive to me at that time. Yeah. Because they didn't have stuff like that in Puerto Rico. I mean, we do have a museum, but nothing compared to the Met, Yeah. Took me a while to get used to the weather, though. And I don't think I ever did get used to it. I would get sick a lot. Yeah. So, yeah.
It's a big change. I mean, very hot, humid to cold all the time and darker. I mean, it's just dark
Yes. There was one time that, because it was gray skies all the time, and there was one time during spring that I woke up and I looked out the window and I saw the sun shining and the skies were blue, and I put on my jeans and I put on my t-shirt, I went outside and I gotta go back in to put on some clothes because I didn't associate sunshine and blue skies with cold. I associated with heat and warm. So I'm like, okay, it can be cold when the sun is out. That was a big concept.
So how when you moved to New York, you started going to Pratt. How did you adapt to like the cultural differences, being a Puerto Rican woman moving to New York?
I experienced some racism. Not much. Like I would get comments from people, I would try to be friendly. I'm from Puerto Rico. Hi, how are you? My name is this and that. They say, you're from Puerto Rico, but Puerto Ricans are supposed to be black with black hair. And I'm like, what's that supposed to mean? We all know now that Boricuas come in many colors. So, I didn't like that comment. But, hey. But other than that, I met people from, Italians, Italian Americans, Jewish, from all kinds of the states. And it was cool. I liked the diversity of the university. I liked that. Yeah. So, but there was just a few people that were like ignorant, I would say. Yeah. No, her paws.
Yeah, she's just licking her paw. Just
Oh,
make
okay.
sure that this is not in the way.
Okay. She can also.
Yeah, I don't want. Yeah.
There we go. Okay. All right. Sorry. So, what was Pratt itself like? What was the kind of curriculum? What was your focus? The work there.
Intensive history of art. There was another drawing class, color, painting. By the second year, it was more in depth. It was human anatomy. Oh my God, that was awesome. It wasn't just the life model in the class, but you had to learn. Like a biologist, every biologist would it be that you have to learn all the muscles, all the
I think that fits.
yeah, all the muscle groups and everything, how they move, the skeletal structure, and then we got to see the cadavers.
Wow.
They took us to the Columbia School of Medicine, where they had the human cadavers all prepped up. And we got to see, they had this one that they had stripped it off all its skin. So you could really see the muscle definition. He was supposed to be some actor in Hollywood that did some Hercules movies. So he was very well defined, because the body tends to shrink, after it dies and after all the water comes out, everything. But he kept it. And it was impressive. Yeah, and you got to sketch from it, and I remember the teacher saying, you guys put your hand in here and feel this tendon over here. You're never gonna forget it. I'm like, I'm not putting my hand in there, no thank you.
This is still a dead body. I'm not gonna put my hands on it.
Yeah, it wasn't gross or anything. Like, it wasn't like bloody, or it was completely dry. You also saw was dry muscles. Tried eating chicken that night. Not easy. Chicken and rice, no.
My brother always tells a story. He went with my dad to go to like a friend's family farm, and that was the time that they were butchering hogs. And it's like, just hasn't eaten sausage in years after that. Literally seeing it made was enough.
Yeah. No. That's no.
So how long does it take to, complete your work at Pratt?
How long was I at Pratt?
Mm-hmm.
I was there for 2 years, and I had to leave because I got very sick, hospital sick.
Oh, that's awful.
Yeah, and I had to come back to Puerto Rico, and I didn't go back. That weather really got to me. But yeah, I was with Ivy and everything. I mean, I couldn't keep anything down. It was horrible. And that happened like a few times. And I'm like, this happens again, I'm going back to Puerto Rico. It's, yeah, it was very hard. And when they start trying to save on gas and stuff by turning off the heat in the middle of winter, because not many students are there, it's very hard.
Yeah.
Painting with gloves on and, putting something in the oven and cooking it with the oven door open so that I could get some heat. It was, no. It was very hard.
So after you left Pratt, where did you move back to Puerto Rico?
Yes, I moved back to
Did
Puerto
you
Rico.
continue your schooling somewhere else?
I didn't continue my schooling there. Years later, I went to an atelier in San Juan.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and I did some classes there. But I did continue painting. I never stopped painting. Yeah.
Did your subjects change from the time you were at Pratt to the time you weren't at Pratt?
Yeah. I mean, Pratt, my artwork was much better after Pratt. But I look at it now and I'm like, no, I paint better now than back then. I mean, an artist never stops evolving and getting better at it. Yeah. The more you paint, the more you draw, the better you get.
How would you say your style's evolved since those early days? Like, did you have like subjects that you used to use more of then that you don't use now? How's it kind of changed over the course of your career?
Well, I noticed that my color scheme, my palette, my colors were very dark. And but that all changed after I got divorced. My colors became more alive, more vibrant, more, yeah.
Why do you think you use so many dark colors?
I was going through a hard time. On one side, I was going through a hard time in my marriage. It was a very abusive marriage, so I had to leave it. On the other hand, there was a part of me that was afraid of going too bright, too colorful. So I didn't want it to look cartoonish or something. So yeah, it was a combination of both. So yeah, whatever's going on in my life, it totally affects my painting. Yeah.
Okay, so after you left and you went back to Puerto Rico, what did you do? Obviously, after you received medical care and stuff like that, what were you doing, like professionally or?
Yeah, after I went back to Puerto Rico, I got married and I started working at an advertising agency. Mm-hmm. And from there on, I always worked, my day job was always at an advertising agency. I painted nights and weekends, but yeah, and I became pretty good at that. Pretty good. I made a name for myself where they would call me from another place, offer me more money. Okay, I'm leaving and going to the other place, So I had good offers going. Yeah.
What was your work in the firms, the advertising firms?
Well, I started as a graphic designer. This was before the computer era. Everything was done by hand. Mm-hmm. It was paste up, it was also drawing, it was layouts. I mean, you had to know how to draw. You had to know how to color. If not, you wouldn't get a job at it. The computers kind of changed all that because a lot of people now declare themselves a graphic designer because they know how to use a mouse and a program that does things for them. But they have no basis in design and everything. I mean, I have been taught from my father since I was a little girl, and he had a studio in our home, so I was always watching, absorbing like a sponge. I mean, we almost had the same style when it comes to graphic design and commercial illustration. Yeah. So my training was way back before high school, before college. My father influenced me a lot in my work. Yeah, he was my teacher. Yeah.
So what, did your father always work for one agency, or did he move around too? Or at agency?
He moved around too. He moved around, yeah.
With like pre-computer graphic design work, what was kind of your, how long would it take you to kind of complete a project, say like a layout for something, or like a kind of a basic design? What would be like your process?
A layout, a quick sketch layout would be an hour or two, depending on the complexity. Many times, like they did to my father too, they would call me into meetings, into brainstorming, and I would be sitting there with a sketch pad. They were talking, and I already had the idea. I was just sketching it. By the end of the meeting, okay, this is what you want? Yes, let's go with that. So I had that ability, just like my father did in his job, and his several jobs too. So I could do that. Yeah.
I do have a few. I don't know if this is the good time to. Okay, let me ask the question.
Okay.
So you mentioned how your colors changed, and kind of how whatever happens in your life has a big impact on your work.
Yes.
I was wondering if there is any specific painting that is very special to you for any reason, something that you could tell us about.
Oh, I would say La Madama and Carbonero. They have two different stories.
This one right here?
Yes.
Or behind?
Yes, La Madama.
Okay.
La Madama is about a woman in Loíza. I was inspired by a father. My father told me a story when he went to see this. I guess she was a psychic medium in Loíza, and she was smoking tobacco, and she would close his eyes like if she was in a trance, and she gave him a reading. She told him his past, his present, and his future. And my father freaked out. He said she was so accurate that I never went back. Yeah. So he inspired me to do a painting of her. The woman dressed in white with the tobacco in a trance, a madama.
Mm-hmm.
The other painting, Carbonero, which I'll show you in a minute. That one was exhibited in Crealdi. Also with La Madama, but Carbonero has a different story. This was a painting I did through one of the dark times in my life, and I was very, 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 very upset and very mad. I mean, I had such anger that if I didn't get it out, I was going to implode. So I got it out on canvas. I did that painting in 2 days. I was so mad. Well, that painting not only was exhibited in Crealdi, but many years before it was in Crealdi, it won Best of Show award in the Lake Worth Art League. Because I moved from Puerto Rico, I moved back to the States and then back to Puerto Rico and now here. So I used to live in West Palm Beach, Miami and then West Palm Beach. And I won an award there. And I'm like, you know what? I don't think I'm going to sell that painting. It means so much. It means something. And I remember painting it. I remember getting all that anger out. So, yeah, I would say that one. Very special. Yeah.
So we talked a little bit about the religious life of your family. I've noticed that you have a lot of paint, maybe not a lot, but at least a few paintings that are religious, like the one with the Three Kings, or you know, I have the entire series of spiritual paintings, right?
Yes.
So I wanted to ask you how did your spiritual life evolve, you know, over the years, and especially in relation to the paintings that you created?
Oh, yeah. I even did ones behind there of Juan Pablo II and Mother Teresa, Pope, yeah. And I did a whole series of the angels, the 7 archangels. I think my religious upbringing in the Catholic school, of course, that was my base, that was the beginning. But it came to a time that when I was going through hard stuff, I couldn't find solace in, you know, I couldn't find comfort in it because it was too many rules, too dogmatic, and you're a sinner, you're no good. You know, I didn't like that. You know, I needed to feel better. I didn't need to feel worse. So I became more spiritual through the years. I have a frog in my throat. And by the time I got divorced, I really immersed myself in it, and it wasn't until I started attending a metaphysics center in Puerto Rico that taught me about the science of spirituality, and that's when I really flourished even more. I understood all the rituals of the Catholic Church more in depth. I understood the origins. I understood the origins of the soul. I understood how to forgive, which that's what I was missing. I was dragging myself through life. No, I gotta forgive. Doesn't mean I forget, but I forgive. And that really, you know, sometimes it's a work in progress, like I would say. You know, it's a daily forgiveness thing. But yeah, that really, really, really helped me in my art. And as you can see, yeah, I did a whole series of angels. I still like painting angels, you know. But yeah, it helped me.
And I have one more question about those the series of angels.
Okay.
Because looking at those paintings, I really don't know much about art.
Okay.
So it may, you know, forgive the question if it's really not relevant. But I feel like it's a little bit different style. You know, like when you look at this angel, for example, that we have over there, and you look at the paintings from the festival, or even the painting of the Joker that it's right behind you. It's a different, you know, it's almost like you were using a different style of portraying a person. Is that accurate? Do you do it on purpose, or I just got it all wrong?
No, I do that. That is more pop art. This tends to be more pop art because it's kind of comic book. And you can see different things here in the Joker painting, like with Cesar Romero, which was the first Joker. This is more, see, the colors are brighter. He was more of a happy clown thing Joker. And this is just the crazy dude with the, you know, the purple. This is completely dark because of a personality. It's very dark. And this is just depression with the blue. This one took me the most time because it's more realistic, you know, not so comic book like this. So when it comes to the angels, I try to do a more classical style, like more classical approach to, with the flesh tones, with the blending of the brush strokes. More realistic, more, I would say, Renaissance kind of, claroscuro, you know, kind of style. Yes, I do it on purpose because angels are associated more with the classical paintings, you know, and the Renaissance and all that. So, yeah.
No, I just noticed the Renaissance man on the patch on the astronaut.
There you go.
Yeah, that's nice.
Yeah. Would you like me to explain about the...
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'll move it in.
So that painting is called Science Meets Religion. It won the People's Choice Award at the Museum of Art in Orlando for the first Thursdays. And it depicts, like, there are people that don't believe in religion at all, and they're just pure science. So you got science, is the astronaut. Religion is the angel. Angels appear in all religions in the world. All of them, not just Christianity. So they're kind of like, it's a meeting and greet. It's like, okay, maybe you don't believe in science, but I believe in religion, and vice versa. Let's meet each other halfway and let's just get along. And this whole thing about the conquest of space and everything. If you see the astronaut, he's coming in through another dimension. Into the angelic realm in the universe. And then in the middle of the painting also it's I'll show you here. Orion's belt. The Orion constellation there.
And also that the color of the nebula behind him almost frames him like it's a halo.
Yeah. Yeah.
But not the angel. Like the angel just exists on this space background.
Yeah. They're in two different realms coming together.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And if you see a lot of the pictures of the astronauts, you see that they look kind of halo-ish because of the light, the sun hitting on them. It reflects all that white, the white suit. Yeah.
Interesting. So you said when you were working full-time with advertising agencies
Right.
that you would put you would do your art whenever you could.
Right.
How would you find time for it? Within your life.
You don't find time for it. You carve it out.
Okay.
You have to make the time. It's like art before dishes. Yeah. Stuff like that. I mean, I can do the dishes when I'm sleepy, but I can't really do my artwork when I'm sleepy. So, yeah. Priorities also. Art's more important. Okay, this can wait. Yeah. It was hard. And especially bringing up two kids also. So yeah, it was hard. But at the end of the day, always, art saved the day. Art saved the day for me. No matter what went on in my life, it saved me. I don't know where I would be if I didn't have art, honestly. Maybe in jail, maybe
That's all.
maybe in a loony bin, something, I would have done something horrible and terrible, so art prevented me from doing all that bad stuff. I don't know. But yeah, art always saved the day. Whether I was happy, sad, whatever, yeah. Yeah.
So, you talked about the Metaphysics Center.
Mhm.
What exactly was it? How did you find it? How did you start going to it?
I found it through an ad. I had become a vegetarian by then because I had something was going wrong with my body that I had to fix. So I became a vegetarian for 4 years. And then I started taking yoga, doing all the right things, eating the right foods. And it just happened to be at the right time. I found this through an ad. They said, let me go. And from the first class, I was like taken away. It's like, whoa. And I was there every week taking notes. I went through the basic, the middle metaphysics, the advanced metaphysics, until I became a teacher of metaphysics. I also gave some classes there, and I would give classes in my home also. Yeah, that really woke me up. The metaphysics, it's the science of spirituality. It's not a religion per se, but yeah, it taught me a lot. Like I said about forgiveness, the origins of our soul, where does our soul go, where we die, all these existential questions. Not all of them have been answered.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it's a daily thing, because life is something you should discover, really. You don't get all the answers here. Only when we cross over is that we do.
Is there, outside of Puerto Rico, have you found another center like it? Or is there any, did you continue going to these, like a center like this somewhere?
I haven't found any other center. A lot of the people that attended the classes moved over here. We kind of still keep in touch, online and everything. And they want me to put a metaphysics center. They want me to be the teacher. And I just said, okay, find me a space. I'll do it, But yeah, it's something I would like to continue doing. Yeah. But again, art comes first, so
Yeah.
I put that in the back burner.
Did you continue working for the advertising company here?
No. My day job is really like marketing, and it's in the operations department of sports events and stuff like that. Yeah, people that need their seats for sports, or concerts or stuff like that. Yeah. It's not something I like, but it's a job. Medical plan, benefits, all that. Yeah.
So how did, you mentioned that you did graphic design before computers.
Yeah.
So how did computers kind of change graphic design work?
Oh,
At least in your experience and how you did it.
like now, you don't really need talent to work a computer. Before you needed to know how to draw. You needed to know some design skills. Now anyone can say, "Oh, I'm a graphic designer. I have a design program and I can use a mouse." And I don't think that's right. It made some things simpler, but it complicated other things. Now you have to know a lot more and everything. I don't like the transition. It was more fun when it was without computers. You got to cut, paste, draw, things. Now it's just yeah, it was more fun before. That's just my opinion. That's what I feel about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not the same. Also, like I love mixing paints and trying them on, and it's like, if you lose that, painting in a computer with programs, it's not the same. I like getting paints on my fingers, on my hands, and go to the bathroom, look at my face. Oh, I got some paint here. I guess I touched my face, and yeah. So yeah, it took the funness out of it. The computers. That's what I would say. Yeah, the hands-on experience of actually doing things by hand. So yeah.
So why did you first start looking to move out of Puerto Rico, and why did you pick South Florida?
I picked South Florida because we have friends there that could help us with the job search and the apartment search and everything. And yeah, that's mainly why when we moved there. Yeah. But I never really quite like South Florida. I like Orlando better compared to Miami. Yeah, much better.
What didn't you like about Miami?
It was too messy. It was hard to get a job there. There's more jobs here in Orlando. Yeah, it was much harder to get a job there. The schools were great though. I can't complain about that for my kids. I mean, the schools were awesome. But yeah, the traffic jams, the mess, yeah, basically.
How old were your kids when you left Puerto Rico?
They were 3 and 7.
When? Well, I guess I should ask that generally. When were your kids born?
1984 and 1988.
So when did you first move to Miami?
I first moved, I believe it was in 91.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Wasn't that right around Hurricane Matthew? Or was that a couple years later?
Matthew was 2016.
Oh, not Matt. What was the early? What was the
I know I moved.
Andrew.
Yeah,
Yes.
Andrew. Yeah, I know I moved 6 months after Andrew.
Oh, 6 months after Andrew.
Yeah, that they had already rebuilt a lot of the apartments that were damaged and everything. Yeah, yeah. 6 months after Andrew, I moved there. Yeah.
And then what's kind of the general timeline? Because you said you moved from Miami back to Puerto Rico and then back to, I think you said Lake Worth a couple times. So it was kind of like, how long did you live in South Florida and that kind of stuff?
Yeah, I lived in South Florida for like a year and a half, and then we moved to West Palm Beach, and that's where I got divorced. But then, I mean, total between both of them, I think like 4 years. And then from West Palm Beach, I came back alone to Puerto Rico with my girls. We actually had to flee from West Palm Beach to Puerto Rico because of my situation. I just wanted to do the best to protect my girls from harm and danger. So, yeah. So, yeah. And then that was in, let me see. So I moved several times. I moved to Miami like after Andrew. And then we actually came back to Puerto Rico for a few years. And then we moved again to Miami. And Miami and West Palm Beach, that was 4 years. And when I went back to Puerto Rico, it was in 97.
And then you lived there until you moved here?
Until I moved here, yeah.
So, when, why did you decide to move back to Florida, and why did you pick Central Florida in 2015?
Why did I decide it? Well, it was the whole economic climate of Puerto Rico. It was bad. I went through 3 businesses that closed.
Oh, wow.
I mean, not my businesses. I worked for those businesses, and those 3 closed down. So okay, I go to the other one. There was nowhere else to go. The economy was bad. It was very bad. I had a lot of friends that moved over here, all over Florida, not just Orlando, because of the same reasons. The government corruption over there. I mean, there's so many federal funds that the island gets, and we don't have a good administrator for those funds, for the people that really need them. And that's very sad. It's very sad. So I had to move, just like my friends and everything, so I could get back on my feet, and hopefully one day go back to my island. Yeah. So my family's there. I miss it dearly. I miss the beach. I miss the sun. I don't like the cold weather. I don't like the extreme heat. I mean, Puerto Rico is hot, but the heat here is like you can't be outside in the summer. It's like suffocating. Yeah,
Like I imagine Puerto Rico gets a much better breeze. Where
the
like
breeze.
this is like this, we do not have. There's no wind here.
Yeah, no air.
No.
No air whatsoever.
No.
And yeah.
Did your daughters move with you?
To here?
Yeah.
No, in Puerto Rico.
Did-
In fact, I have one in Miami, living in Miami, and one of them is in Puerto Rico. Yeah, the youngest one is in PR.
Do they have families of their own, children of their own? Or-
No,
Okay.
no, I don't know what's with the. I don't want to say the word millennials, but they're millennials, and usually they don't want to have kids. That's the thing about them. You know, they want to concentrate more on their career and whatever. But okay, that's fine. You know.
Are either of them artists?
Yeah, both of them. Both of them. I had kids first, and then I did the career thing. So yeah. Yeah, but I don't regret it one bit. And they're very talented too. Both of them very talented. I wish I could have taught them more, but you know they kind of want to do their own thing. So okay, I'll let them be.
Do they ever, like when you make a painting or any kind of work, do you show them for their opinion? Do they say like, "Mom, why did you use this color here?" or something like that? You know, do you discuss your work?
Not really. Sometimes I show them, sometimes I don't. You know, sometimes I get it. Oh, nice. You know, and that's it. They don't say much. So, yeah. But no, we don't get into discussions of my artwork. No. No. Sometimes my favorite paintings are not their favorite. It usually happens with the rest of the public too. The ones I least like, people go, "Oh, great," you know, and it sells, and you know. But and I'm like, I don't understand it, but whatever. So yeah.
So when you first moved here, how did you pick this part of town?
I have some friends from high school that live here, and they helped me a lot during the first 6 months, even on the job search and everything. I picked this because, first of all, it was available. Second, it was affordable, and it's like 10 minutes from work. I don't have to do a big commute, so that's, you know, that's worth it. And yeah, I have all the stores here, everything I need, Hobby Lobby, you know. If I need something more professional kind of material, then I go downtown to Sam Flags. Yeah. So yeah, it's very convenient. It's very centric. People come see me from Kissimmee or from East Orlando. You know, it's like this is the middle point. So yeah.
I had one question, and I'm thinking about how to ask it for a while now. I don't know if I came up with the
Okay,
solution. So, do you see any differences in the way women are treated, but also just the figure of woman in culture between America and Puerto Rico? Because like me being an immigrant myself, I feel that often. Sometimes I more feel it than can describe it, but I wonder if you ever felt any differences between, you know, the way women are portrayed, treated, valued in Puerto Rico and in the United States. Or maybe there is no difference at all.
Oh, there is. Yeah. I don't feel as much discrimination, I would say, as the treatment of women in Puerto Rico. I felt more, how do you say, that there's a lot of machismo in Puerto Rico. And I think part of it is upbringing of men over there, that like men are not supposed to cry, or you're not man enough. Men are not supposed to be sensitive. Remember what the Bible says, Eve came from man, man came first, Eve is lower, Eve is, that whole story is like, yeah. They're not taught that women are as much as equal as men. I don't see that here. I see that women here are treated more equally than in Puerto Rico. Yeah, definitely there's a big difference. Yeah. And I'm not saying all men, I'm generalizing, but most who haven't gotten quite the greatest education, tend to think that way. It's like it's in the back of their minds also, And yeah, domestic violence is a big bad thing going on in Puerto Rico.
Is there
because of that, yeah.
Is there like a social consciousness about that? Like, is it kind of a taboo topic, or are there organizations that actually help women?
There are organizations.
And people talk about that.
Oh, yes, there's definitely more conscious about it now. In fact, in one of the advertising agencies in which I worked with, I had to come up and design a whole campaign based on domestic violence. Yeah, I had the honors to do that. Yeah, and that campaign went on TV, went on the buses, everywhere, and the press. So yeah, there's a big awareness, conscious, but it's still going on. That's a bad thing. So I think really it should start in the education, not only at school, but in the home. Definitely it's something that needs work. So, yeah, and what other areas were you saying, like socially work and...
No, I was just wondering if, if these domestic violence issues are at least discussed in public, that if...
Yes.
If it's just something that women talk about among themselves, or if it actually, is an issue that is trying to be solved.
Yeah, it's trying to be solved. They're trying it... not only the education of children in the home, but it also has to start, like, if you see something, report it. Don't stay quiet. You're the neighbor, you hear something, report it. Don't stay quiet. Oh, that's not my problem. That's not the right attitude. That is not the right attitude, because they could prevent a lot of deaths. And I think the court systems have to work at it too, because, a protection order is a piece of paper which is not going to protect you. And if there are children involved, I don't think the children should be left alone with an abuser, because some abusers have known to take retaliation on their ex-wife through the children. It's very, very common. It happened to me. So, and in some instances have even killed the children just to get at the wife. A lot of sad stories. And that shouldn't happen. So I think the courts also be more strict, take a more active role, and thinking it better when it comes to awarding custody of children. and visitation and everything because of that. That's very important, very, very important. But yeah, it's talked about. There's definitely more awareness about it now in Puerto Rico than before. Yeah, but it's still a big thing. It's still a big issue because of that machismo going on. That they think that women are less, or women should be hit to correct them, and no. Yeah. So yeah. I was lucky enough to work in that campaign. That through my art, I could bring awareness towards that. So I thank God for that opportunity that was given to me. Yeah.
Was it after your own experiences?
Yes, it was after my divorce and everything. Yeah. Yeah. So I brought some experience to it. I made it very positive. But I made it like enough is enough. That was the theme of the campaign. That's enough. Basta ya. So yeah.
Do you think that you're respected as much as, say, like a male artist would be? Is there that same type of, disrespect for like women artists as well? We can talk about like professionally, but like in the art world in Puerto Rico too.
Yeah, in the art world, I think in Puerto Rico and all over the world, I think they still have to give more. They have to learn to give women more recognition also, because you see men in the art world. Okay, there's a lot of talented women out there that we're not hearing about. What about them? You can't make it all men. Yeah, that's something that we're working towards it as a humanity as a whole. It's getting there, but we need more awareness about that, and especially in Puerto Rico also. Yeah, I remember when I was younger, like in high school, I would participate in all these art exhibits and juried art exhibits also, and I was usually the only one, or one of two women participating in the whole thing, or that were selected, or that were given prizes. Why is that? Why is that happening? It's questions that we should ask ourselves as humanity, and start to work on it. Here, of course, there's more opportunities. They're a little bit more open-minded, but yeah, Puerto Rico still needs to work on a little bit more. Yeah.
So we had talked about, well, actually, one thing. When you first moved to Orlando, what was your first impression of the community and the area? Do you remember anything that sticks out?
Anything that sticks out? Well, at first it's hard because you got all the flashy stuff of Disney and Universal Studios, and once you got done with the theme parks, then you could look more in depth. But I remember when I first got here, the first thing I did was head right towards the airport. I mean, from the airport to the museum, right towards the museum.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
What did you think of the museum when you first saw it?
Well, it was an exploratory travel before I actually moved.
Mm-hmm.
So when I went right to the museum, they just happened to have a traveling exhibit of portraiture.
Oh.
And there was even a Rembrandt there. I was drooling. I was like, oh my God, I can't believe I'm seeing this. Yes. And I said it was awesome. I mean, I've never seen quite like it. I mean, in New York, yeah, but it was awesome. And then when I finally moved, I got to see another traveling exhibit about the New England artists.
Ooh.
And that was awesome too. it was spectacular. So they haven't had exhibits like that caliber since. So I'm always on the lookout. What's next? What's the next exhibit? So my other impression was that it's a lot of diversity here, which is very cool. Everybody here seems to be like I said, from somewhere else. We just come together here. The arts, oh my God, I exhibit in one place as the same artist as we exhibit in the other place. We always meet, hey, how you doing? So I've made a lot of artist friends here, which is very, very cool. Networked with people, from art centers and stuff. So, yeah. It was a good impression. Good impression. What didn't have a good impression was the I-4, which is still under construction since I got here 5 years ago. So why don't they finish? Yeah.
Remember, I left in 2005 when they finished the last expansion. Then I moved back, and they announced that they were expanding it again.
Oh my God!
Perpetual. It's just going to happen forever. It's always going to be expanding. It's just how it goes. So has your style changed at all in the time that you've lived here?
Oh yes. Well, I wouldn't say that it changed, but I think my painting improved.
Oh.
I got to meet some of the most talented Disney artists that are now retired from the Disney animation and movies and whatever, and they're doing their own paintings, and they're exhibiting at the boardwalk in Wyland Gallery. And
What's the name of the artist? Because I work there, so I might know them.
I met Jim Warren. Jim Warren is awesome.
Cool.
Very down to earth, very, but he is awesome. And the time I met him, he was working on a painting of Prince. 'Cause Prince had just died.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I loved it. And I said, no, so I do this. And he was painting. And there was a mess of tubes open all over the place. He didn't care. But he was doing a masterpiece. So, he inspired me to do my own painting of Prince. Totally different from his, but, the same size. So, I finished a painting. I took a picture of it in my cell phone. And then the year after that, I went with a friend to the Festival of the Arts, and I saw him there. Hey, you remember me a year ago? He didn't remember me. I wanted to show you my painting because you inspired me. So I showed him my painting of Prince, and he's like, he didn't say anything, just gave the phone back to me. I'm like, okay, is that all I get? But he was busy because he was in the middle of a painting too, and there was a lot of people walking around. But but my art changed. I think it got better. Actually, it's not the same looking at a picture in a book to actually seeing the artwork, seeing the brush strokes. And see how it's done, seeing an artist's work in progress and all that. So I think it got better. I got more detailed in my artwork, too, more conscious, doing more finished look to things, keeping the looseness and the brush strokes, but
So how did you first hear about the Pulse shooting? Do you remember that day?
I heard it when people started posting on Facebook.
And what were you doing that morning?
I knew I had to go to work, so I had to go to work. But then later on, I started texting two of my friends that I knew that they would go to that place. One of them, he didn't go that night, but the other one was there and survived, like I told you. And he told me he was okay. I was shocked, really. I was shocked that something like that would happen here in this community, in Orlando. It's supposed to be synonymous of fun. It's a nice place, I was very shocked, very shocked.
Did you go to any of the events or anything around Pulse? Any of the memorial events or any of the vigils or anything like that?
No, I passed by when there wasn't an event going on. I passed by and I saw all the, the flowers put up and everything, Yeah, but it broke my heart. I just thank God that my friend survived. He hid himself in one of the cabinets behind the bar. And praying. He was praying and praying and praying and praying the whole time. The friends that were with him, that pushed him into the bar, did not survive. So, and then when he finally got out, that the police came and everything, he was trying to help people out too. He noticed that he had blood here, so he thought he got shot. And when they wiped him off, it looked like a bullet had just grazed him. So he was very, very lucky. And then I see in Facebook they start posting that marked safe, marked safe. And I'm like, oh my God. I mean, I didn't think such a tragedy was to happen in a place like this. It's unreal, unreal. And so much hate, So I don't know. I don't like to think about it. I wasn't there, but I don't like to think about it. Because I could have lost a very dear friend. Yeah. So.
More about Pulse?
I was going to ask if you had any.
Yeah, you go ahead. No. Do it to play.
No, I was wondering if you go ahead because I
Okay.
yeah
So the painting that you talked about, the Angel of Healing.
Yes.
So how long did it take you to paint it? Did you exhibit it anywhere locally? Any of that kind of stuff?
Yes, I exhibited it in Osceola Arts. It took me approximately, because sometimes I work on 2 or 3 paintings at once.
Okay.
So approximately 2-3 months, I would say. And I did it, the Angel of Healing, specifically in honor of the victims of Pulse. And it says it in the back of the canvas too. Yeah. I did it with a lot of love, with a lot of concern, and of course in honor of all those people that lost their life there. And yeah, my friend has it now. He cherishes that painting a lot. He has it right on top of his bed, I even put a frame on it. No, I'm not going to charge you for the frame here. He loved it. He loved it. Yeah.
What was kind of your inspiration for the design of it? What were you thinking it was going to look like in the beginning and things like that?
I wanted to give something that they could not think so much about the tragedy, but start the healing process. That's why it's called Angel of Healing. I believe angels are all around us, and they all have specific purposes for us to make our lives better and heal. And I think that post-tragedy needed a lot of healing for people. A lot of PTSD, a lot of, yeah. And some of the proceeds of that painting went towards, I forgot the organization that provides free psychological help for people that went through the Pulse tragedy.
Mental Health Association. Yeah, there's
Like most of the organizations
there.
later on provided some mental health.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah,
The one Orlando counseling's was. One.
I found it through PayPal, which I did the payment through PayPal. So I really,
That's
Maybe-
I can't recall the
Yeah,
name.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah, but I made sure that some of the proceeds of that painting went towards that.
Mhm.
Yeah. So that I could give a piece of healing, not only by doing the artwork, but actually, money for people that needed the care after that. Yeah.
So how do you believe that the community reacted to the shooting?
I think the community came together a lot, even more. I tried getting to an exhibit that was in City Arts related to the Pulse victims and everything, and I submitted the artwork. I never got a response. I mean, nothing. And then I wrote back, and okay, yeah, we'll let you know. I never heard about them. They didn't pick me. Whatever. But it did exhibit in Osceola Arts. So I don't know why. I don't know if it has to do with the thing of women in the arts that we were talking about. I have no idea why. But at least I got to exhibit it in Osceola, which was
And what
very
was the
cool.
institution that didn't reply to it?
It was an exhibit organized by a guy. I don't recall his name now. And they gave him a space in City Arts Factory, which I've exhibited there before in City Arts. It's been very cool.
It's in the Rutgers building.
Yeah, but it was a guy that was organizing it, and they gave him the space. I don't recall his name now. But yeah, apparently he said no because he never responded. He didn't say yes or no. He just never responded. At least have the courtesy of it, but no. So yeah, and I really wanted to take part of it. I think Orlando came together even more after that tragedy and raised a lot of awareness about the LGBT community. And about all these hate crimes also that are going on, that are atrocious. Why so much hate? I don't understand it. We live in the same planet. We live in the same place. Just why can't you just get along? Why do you have to hate? That's one thing I didn't like about religion. Religion creates division. My religion is better than yours. Mine believes in this. No, there shouldn't be division. Religion has its purpose, but don't divide the people. Because then you create hate. And that's opposite of religion, opposite of spirituality. So, yeah. Don't know what else to say about that.
So, because I know that you moved just a year, really, like a year and a half before Pulse happened. So,
Yeah.
I don't know if you really can have any comparison between the community before and after Pulse, but do you feel like anything changed in Orlando?
More awareness, more acceptance of the LGBT community, more love. I would say that. And I don't think they should put another club there. They should try to reopen it. No, I think there might be still souls in that place that have lost their way. They don't know how to reach, I don't know. I don't think it's respectful that they plan to open another club there. They're gonna open it somewhere else. Leave that as a memorial or something.
Yeah, it will be a memorial.
It will be.
Mhm.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's
and
good.
there's gonna be a museum as well. Like I don't know how many feet.
Oh,
it
that's
would be
good.
down the road, but
Yeah, I'm trying to. I don't know how I would describe the
like a
direction.
walking distance.
Yeah, yeah.
From
It's like a couple. I think it would be like a couple blocks from down Michigan.
Mhm.
So it would be
Yeah.
like down Orange and then
Okay.
to Michigan to the right down there. I think that's the site.
Yeah,
Somewhere on Michigan, is it?
somewhere there.
Okay, okay. Oh,
Or
but
on
that's
Cayley,
good.
On Cayley.
Kaylee,
It's right
Kaylee,
next
you're
to
right.
Pratt.
Sorry.
Oh,
Not Michigan.
okay.
On Cayley,
Okay.
So.
Yeah. So there's no plans to reopen the club.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Very good.
Yeah,
Very
it's good. The design, I'm not sure if it's available online.
Yeah, they are.
That one, yeah.
It should
So
be.
on their website, there is a design that won the competition, the
Uh-huh.
memorial and the museum. So you
Oh,
can actually see how it's.
Oh, I did not know
supposed to
that.
look. Yeah.
great,
Yeah.
great. Yeah, it should be like what happened in the World Trade Center. You know, don't put another building there. No. You know, I saw that live on TV when those buildings were falling. I couldn't believe it. You know, and to think, when I went to New York, that was one of the first places I went to, the World Trade Center. And there's a picture of me looking up at the buildings, like that my mother took from the bottom up. You know, and they're not there anymore. And the sculptures that were around it, they were awesome. Not there anymore. So yeah, stuff like that, just leave it alone, make a memorial. Yeah. Yeah, I heard that there was actually a plein air artist, you know, plein air, the term plein air, like painting outdoors. Was it you? There was a plein air artist
I gotta tell you, I'm not.
outside across the street from Pulse, right after the tragedy, doing a painting of it.
Oh, I do know an artist in New York who was doing that.
Yeah? Okay.
Virginia something.
Okay. Because Stephen Bauman talked about it in one of his YouTube videos. That there was a planet artist there. Oh, look at that. Good.
And this painting that you did, when did you paint it? The same year, 2016?
Yeah, the same year. The same year. Yeah. When my friend, the buyer, saw it, one thing is seeing it online, saying I want it, it's mine, I'm gonna buy it. But another thing is when he actually got to see it exhibited in Osceola, there were tears coming into his eyes. He just stayed there like this, just looking at it and looking at it. It really got to him. Really. And then after the exhibit was over, then he took it. You know.
I'm gonna take this piece.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, he said, no, now it's yours, you know.
So how is because I've never been there, what's the Osceola Arts space like?
Oh, they have a very nice space. Very nice space. I do think their exhibits should be curated a little bit better. Yeah, because they have a lot of mixing of professional artists with amateur artists, and I think, I don't know, they should be curated a little bit better, and theme-wise also, you know. But their spaces are very nice, and they also have theater presentations there, you know, for the patrons of the arts and everything. Yeah, it's a cute little place. Yeah.
So, do you need to take her out or anything? Or
She's just
here she goes. So, how did Hurricane Maria affect you or your family in Puerto Rico?
I wasn't there for Maria, but my family was, and they told me all the stories on what they went through, and no electricity, and not enough water, and all that stuff. So over here, feeling helpless, that I can't do much, I tried sending my brother a water filter, and it never got to him, because people would steal stuff that came through the mail. People were so desperate. It was one of those Brita water filters because the water was coming out bad. So the only thing I could do was send money. I felt very helpless, like I couldn't do nothing. You know, my arms are extending down to the island, but I can't reach. And I don't know if you want to.
Yeah, we should probably pause it.
Stop it.
Yeah.
You guys want to take a?
Okay.
Okay, now we're back after a brief break. Okay, so we were talking about Hurricane Maria before we got interrupted by, I assume, what's a leaf blower? Or
Yes.
a car? I don't know. So you were saying that it was hard on you being here, but not knowing a lot. So what was it like at the time? You know, trying to communicate with your family, trying to send them things. What was it like?
Constant worrying. I mean, I tried not to call my family, only through text, because I knew they didn't have electricity, and I didn't know when was the next time they were going to be able to charge their cell phones. So yeah, but constant worrying. I knew they were fine because they texted, but you know, just going through the no electricity, the mosquitoes. Oh my God, the mosquitoes that came with it. The whole description of the hurricane. It was 8 hours of constant pounding of the blowing air and rain, and they describe it like it was a turbine of an airplane. That's, yeah. I mean, I've been through hurricanes, but this one was catastrophic. This one was something else. Yeah.
Was it different for different family members of yours? Like, did your daughters get power back faster? You know, did they have, you know, more consistent power? Anything like that for different people that you'd been talking to?
Yeah, I had a friend that lived across the street from a hospital. So he was only out of power for like a week because they were next to a hospital.
And this is only.
Yeah, exactly.
I
That
thought
was
you were
my
gonna
thought.
say like only a couple hours.
Yeah.
My brother lived like a few blocks from my friend, and my brother didn't have power for like 2 months. I had friends up in the mountain in Rio Grande who were without power like 7 months.
I don't even know what to.
But they had a gas stove, at least they could cook stuff and they could barbecue.
But you can't refrigerate anything.
No. No. Well, they did the best they could. I get descriptions that my brother ate a lot of Chef Boyardee with a mix of, you know, a can of corn, mix it all together, you know, and eat that. It was hard, yeah. There was a cafeteria in front that had an electric plant, what they call it, yeah. And he would eat there seldom, I mean, all the time. And but he spent a lot of money too. You have to have cash. He spent a lot of money buying food every day from there. My brother helped out my daughter too with money, you know. I sent her money too. It was just, everything was just hard.
How would you send them money? Would Western Union still work? Or how would you send them?
Through PayPal, linked to the bank account. Yeah. But everything was paralyzed for a long time. I mean, the banks, the businesses, the courthouses, everything. It was just a very slow process. And when the electricity finally came back, it was done like they patched it up with like bubble gum from here, there, you know. Puerto Rico is in a bad need of building an energy plant, something, whether it's nuclear or whatever, you know, because it's just so behind, you know.
I heard read an article that the grid mostly hasn't been updated since like the 60s or the 70s.
Yeah.
So it was hard to find linemen who knew how to work on that old electrical like lines and stuff.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
very old, and it's hard to find parts, and it's hard to find qualified people who know how to work on it.
Yeah.
Is part of the problem too.
Because mostly the whole island got their energy from the south, and all those towers, big towers that conducted their energy with cables all the way to the north, they all fell. They pulverized with the hurricane. Pulverized. So how can you bring energy back up with everything is, torn apart? Very hard. It was very hard. I can't imagine how it was for the people that were over there living it. I wasn't there. I was just told the stories and looked at the pictures and some video. Yeah.
Did your daughter decide to move here because of the hurricane?
No. The other daughter moved to Miami way before.
Okay.
Yeah.
Did you know anybody else that moved to Florida specifically after the hurricane, just because they didn't want to be on the island anymore?
Oh yeah, like the friend of mine that got electricity after just a week. Yeah, he eventually moved here with his mom. Yeah, yeah, she's elderly, and she couldn't take living like that either. I mean, hard to get to food, basic essential necessities. Yeah, it was hard. So yeah, he moved here. He lives now in Sebring.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he lived in Sebring. But yeah, I had other friends that came over here. They just could see me. It's everywhere. They came sometimes for just a few months, and then they went back when things got better.
Did you have any family or friends that were involved in the protest movements in Puerto Rico?
Oh yeah, my daughter was a big part of that. She went into the protest movement. Yeah, even though my brother told her, "Don't get into that. This is gonna be a lot of people. It's gonna be messy. It's gonna be," but she went anyway. Yeah.
Did she tell you at all what it was like?
Not much. They got what they wanted. They got the governor out. And they put another one in. So yeah.
Do you know, did she go, because I know that there was a new round of protests with the new governor. Did she go back? Or did you talk to her about it at all?
That protest wasn't...
It wasn't as big.
No, it didn't take much effect. I don't know if she went. That I don't know. I haven't asked her if she went.
Okay.
Yeah. But the first one was big. Yeah, yeah. There was reason to take him out.
Yeah, he definitely deserved it.
Yeah. Not just because of the chat thing, but there were other things.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, yeah. He didn't... I think the hurricane was so big that it just got out of his hands. He didn't know how to handle it.
No.
He didn't handle it well. And a lot of people died just because of lacking those basic necessities. They died after the hurricane.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah.
I have one more about art. So if you wanna, I can just ask
Okay.
it after everything.
Yeah, okay. So, how did you get involved with the Arts Diaspora group?
Oh, okay. There's a gallery that represents me in Puerto Rico.
Mm-hmm.
And she is friends with another guy that had a gallery in Puerto Rico, but he moved over here. Yeah, she needs help on harness because she can't.
Okay.
Yeah, it's her back.
Okay, gotcha. Okay. Sorry. Continue.
So I got to meet her friend. It's called Pablo.
Mm-hmm.
and I got to meet him at the Hispanic Festival downtown in the City Hall.
Mm-hmm.
And she told me, oh, he's gonna be there. I already told him so that he meets you. So we met there. We made friends. And then he introduced me to Angel. When Angel was planning on opening up the barber shop with the gallery and all that. And they have both been a blessing. You know, me and Angel get along great. We made friends too. I met then Jose Feliciano and the whole gang, the Diaspora. I know the original Diaspora that they had kind of broke apart. And that's when they got the liberty of doing more things like they've been doing. And you know, and they accepted me into the group and everything, which is very cool. Yeah, they've been a blessing. Yeah, both Papo and Angel and Jose Feliciano. They've been a blessing.
Why do you think Sorry, I kind of lost my train of thought with that question. Sorry.
That's okay.
So over the time that you've been a part of the group, you know, how's your work been included? You know, what's been your involvement with the group so far?
They've invited me to attend whether it be meetings for an exhibit. If I can attend, Angel always keeps me up to date. This is what's happening. You need to bring your artwork at this stage. You need to bring an artist statement. You need to do, and you know, and I'm included in the exhibits. Yeah. So yeah, now I lost my train of thought.
They keep you up to date on future exhibits.
Yeah,
To you to bring your art to such and such a place, things like that.
yeah. Sometimes we meet at the barber shop. The day is closed, like on a Monday. Oh, let's meet over there and we just hang out and we talk art. And Angel is very passionate. Once you get him talking about art, he's like, oh man, it just pours out of him. Yeah.
What language do you speak with each other?
Spanish, yeah. Well, Spanish Puerto Rican is different than regular Spanish.
Why do you think it's so important for it to be specifically like a Puerto Rican art school instead of like say like I don't know, like a generalized like Spanish art or Latin American art or something like that?
The people of the diaspora, the ones of us that were born and raised in Puerto Rico, are exposed to certain things that, let's say, like someone from Puerto Rican parents that is born in New York hasn't experienced. I'll give you an example. My grandfather was from Sweden. He moved to Puerto Rico with my grandmother after they got married in New York. And when he first got there and he traveled, one day they traveled to the countryside, to the mountains. One of the things he said was that he had never seen so many shades of green in his lifetime. He was amazed at that. And he was right, you know. When you are exposed to not only all that beauty in nature that's in Puerto Rico, the mountains, the beach, the colors, the color of the sky, everything, the flowers. And then you also, on top of that, get exposed to the culture. Going to a Vejigantes feast, any festival in old San Juan, you get exposed to the arts over there. It's it works on you. when you grow up with that, no matter where you move, you bring it in your heart. Like I have it in my heart and in my mind. I may not be over there, but I bring Puerto Rico with me. And then it reflects on my work. One way or another, always reflects. And I think that's special. I think that's special. And it's just different. I think there should be a Puerto Rican group because we have all that specialness to bring and show the world what precious gem we come from, you know? So, yeah, it's not the same as if you weren't born there and raised and being exposed to all that. It's not the same as someone who was just from Puerto Rican parents, with all due respect, just Puerto Rican parents who were born and raised here. And let's say you just go visit over there, you know, but when you're with it every day, it's different. It runs in your blood, it runs in your soul, in your heart, everything. It just takes over. It's wonderful. Yeah.
So how has what do you think, I know you haven't lived here a long time, but how do you think the art scene locally has changed over the time that you've lived here?
Has it changed?
I don't know. So I'm asking you.
I think it hasn't changed that much, but we are more Puerto Ricans now here. And in that aspect, yeah, there's more Puerto Rican art.
Mm-hmm.
Sure there is, yeah. Yeah, sure there is. I wish that people will go out more in plein air painting. I heard that in some parts of Florida it's illegal to do so, like in Winter Park. You can't just put a canvas there. I don't know if you knew about that.
Oh, definitely, yeah.
Yeah,
Seriously?
yeah.
St. Augustine and Winter Park. It's illegal to paint
Yeah.
outside.
We're not criminals. I mean, why are we not allowed to paint? I mean, that brings
That's one of the
beauty.
strangest things I've ever heard in my entire life. It's like somebody
Yeah.
said that an elephant was in this room. That's the craziest thing I've heard all day.
Yeah,
It's early, but that's sorry.
yeah, yeah. And like Mr. Thomas is doing the urban sketching. That's so important. And not only it brings cultural diversity to a city, but as an artist, you grow doing that sketching. You know, you need to do that on a daily basis.
Mm-hmm.
It's important for an artist's growth. And then if you're going to tell an artist, no, if you paint here, you're doing something illegal. Really? You know, what crime are we committing? You know, I think that should change. I think they should do something about that. I mean, yeah.
Yeah, Dan, just for your enlightenment, they set it up because musicians had loudspeakers. So they said anybody that's performing, that's illegal because it competes against the businesses on the street. So artists are lumped in as performers because somebody could stop and look at what you're doing, and that's keeping people from going into business. That's their mindset.
It's literally an entirely different thing, though.
Yeah,
Exactly. Yeah.
Like, I'm
Yeah.
not, like, is that going to stop me from going to Lululemon because you're painting across the street?
Right.
Oh, I'm no longer going to buy those yoga pants because somebody's painting across the street.
Exactly.
Oh,
Exactly.
wow, there's a drummer here. I no longer want to get a glass of wine.
Yeah.
My day is filled with entertainment. I don't need to do anything else. Sorry.
I'm saving my comment for off the record.
Yeah. I mean, like I said before, I went to the Met. There were all these performances outside the museum. I think that's a beautiful thing. Why
Yeah.
can't we have that here?
Yeah.
I know we've talked about the Angel of Healing and some of the other pieces in the room.
Okay.
Is there any other, memorable piece to you that you would like to share, the story of how you started doing it or anything like that?
Oh, wow. Well, I started with the drawing of the crucifixion, which I spoke about before. After that, watching everything my father would do. And one time, I got a hold of some tracing paper. I was a little girl. And I started tracing something. And my father said, I'm like, what? I said, no, never, never, never trace something. Try always to draw it yourself. One of the first things he taught me. So that one time he brought me to the office and he was doing his graphic design layout and he was tracing something. And I told him, you're tracing something, Daddy. And he started laughing. No, but it's not the same. But you told me. Yeah. Yeah. I always, in school, I was always the one who knew how to draw something. Yvonne, we need a favor from you. We need you to draw this for the class or whatever project. Yeah, I always had the best projects in the class because of my drawings. So, I was always known as the artist in elementary school. And that grew to, when I became a teenager, went into high school. I got into every contest I could get my hands on. And I won some awards, and that helped me get into college too. Having the influence of my father there, also, he was my teacher. So, she's snoring.
Snoring?
Yep.
The doggy is snoring, Mina. So,
do you have like a painting process that you do, like before you start a piece? Like, how do you start a piece, start to finish? How do you kind of go from like the inspiration that you said earlier to like a completed painting?
Sometimes the hardest part is the idea. Sometimes. If it just comes like this, okay, now I have to make a good sketch. And that sketch might take a while until I get it right. Once I have that sketch, then I put it onto a canvas. Not too detailed because I don't want to waste too much time in the sketching of a canvas that's going to be covered by paint. But yeah. And then after that, I kind of do a wash on the canvas and kind of start doing a monotone painting. Very washy, very like watercolors, but it's just a lot of oils with the turpentine in it, so it dries quick. So I have something like that done. Once that's dry, then I can start applying color. And I have to keep in mind, if I put this color as a base, how is it going to show through with the top layer? And there might be 3 to 4 layers. I have to allow some drying time between one layer and the next. I see a lot of paintings in YouTube that are done like they start in an eye and then they finish it up completely and then they work towards something and the whole canvas is white. That's not how I was taught, and I don't think that's a very good approach, because first of all, it's nothing more intimidating than a white canvas. Totally white. Yeah, it just blinds you. What do I do now? Tone it down. Tone it down. That's why I have a whole bunch of pre-toned down canvases there. And then when you add the light to it, when you start painting the light on it, then you can see it better against the toned background. I was always taught, my college teachers, that you should always work on the whole painting at once. Don't don't try to finish the eye and then the nose and then no, work on, because you gotta see how the different colors are going to react to each other. You know, is the background color gonna work with the front colors and vice versa? You know, you gotta be able to constantly compare and make thousands of decisions, you know, in that moment in time, but you have to work on the whole thing. And then once you have the good colors, and then you start like doing the detail work.
That makes sense.
Yeah. But yeah, I think Mr. Thomas agrees with me. Yeah. Yeah.
I'm getting to the wrapping up questions. Do you want to ask your art question?
Yes. I have a question about nudity in pictures, paintings.
Okay,
that you
okay.
do. Because I got that impression from what you were telling us, and also from reading your website, that you know painting human bodies are like a big piece of your work.
Yeah.
So, as an artist, to what extent you think it's an art to portray human bodies, and how to portray them to make it really artistic? How do you view it?
I'm in love with the Renaissance painters and how the bodies were portrayed there, because the anatomy is so rich, and they were beautiful. There's a fine line between, you know, beautiful art and it may look grotesque to another person, like if you were to show genitals and stuff. That's why when Michelangelo completed the Sistine Chapel, you know, the Pope didn't like that Adam was naked and there were all these naked people with genitals all over the place, you know, and Sir Michelangelo was like, well, you know, that's how God made man, naked. Didn't make him with clothes. But it was a church, you know, and so when Michelangelo was done with that, the Pope ordered another artist to paint over all the genitals, like little pieces of rag and stuff, so that you can tell the color, the style is different. It was done by another artist because it was a church, you know. So there's a very fine line with that. The human body is a beautiful thing. We're skinny, fat, toned, whatever. When it comes to drawing it and painting it, it's not the same as a photograph. You know, there's something that happens with a painting. There's a magic, there's a mood, there's a feeling, all that a photograph may not convey so well. And yeah, I think the poses in a painting have a lot to do with it. Like there's a grotesque pose and then there's a beautiful pose. You know, it's just has to do how you portray it. Yeah, she wants to go on the floor.
Sorry.
So, yeah, I don't know what else to say about that.
Do you paint, if you have naked accents in your paintings, do you paint them with real models, or you just study? I mean, you've studied human bodies so much that you can probably just draw it from, or paint it from memory.
Most of the times I have to use photographs from models, because models only have a limited amount of time, and I'm like, do you have an hour? Okay, sign the model release. I'll take some pictures with my camera and I'll post them how I want. But because everybody is in a rush today, everything's fast, everything, you know, so. And especially like when doing portraits of children, also it has to be with photographs because they don't stay still. So I think it's more convenient for everybody that way. I make my sketches, live sketches, so that I can sink in better the anatomy of the person. I try to be careful about nudity because that can still close some doors when it comes to exhibiting. they might say, no, it's too raunchy, we don't accept nudes, it all has to be in good taste because it's a family exhibit. Okay, I can understand that. So, I try to be careful about that and just keep it PG. Yeah. So, yeah.
What about the dog? Would it be fair to say portraiture?
Uh-huh.
How did you start doing it? Were you always interested in doing it? Is it more of a recent?
It's not that recent, but I was interested because I saw that a lot of people that are dog owners, either they don't have children and the dogs are their children and they just like the whole rescue thing and everything, or they treat their dogs better than they treat themselves or their children, and they go crazy when they see a dog portrait. Yeah. I've seen some very good ones, artists, some very good dog portrait artists, but I've seen a lot of them that look like cartoons. So it's very important that you know how to do them well so they don't look like cartoons. Because there's always gonna be someone that does it cheaper. But are they gonna do it better? Are they gonna do a good job? Pay the price. Pay what it costs. You get a good portrait done.
Yeah, and that's a really pretty dog.
Yeah, this one is amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, those portraits there were exhibited at a dog show in Puerto Rico, and one of the winners, he saw my paintings and he wanted me to do a portrait of his dog.
Oh.
So I did that and he paid for it and no problem. That one, that Afghan, that was like the main portrait of the show, and it turns out that an Afghan won, a blonde Afghan, that looked just like that one. Yeah.
So is there anything do you feel like we didn't talk about enough today? Anything that you'd like to add? Any topic you'd like to discuss further? Anything like that?
Oh wow, that's a good question. I think they should be opening more opportunities for artists here. That we should have more the freedom, like I said, to express ourselves. If we want to set a canvas someplace in the middle of Winter Park, that we should be able to do it. I mean, we won't make any noise, I promise. It's not like we're gonna be washing our cars with our doors open with all that. No, we're quiet. Some people don't understand how artists contribute to the life of a city, to the culture of a city, and that's important. I think City Arts is doing a wonderful job in promoting artists and keep the whole thing going. I think they're excellent in that. And also the Orlando Museum of Art with their first Thursdays and everything. I think that those things are very good. I think we should have more things like that, more activities, more venues like that. Yeah.
I was wondering if you could show the painting that you were talking about. Is it available somewhere here for us to? This angry painting.
Oh yeah, it's right there. I'll show you.
Maybe I can take the camera.
I've
Because we
got-
talked so much about it.
I've got one last question.
Okay, so you go ahead with
Yeah.
this question, and then at the end we're just gonna show the painting.
Okay.
So I've got one last question that I ask everybody. So, like I said, this interview is going to be kept in our archive
Okay.
forever. So, for somebody who's listening to this interview in, say, 10, 20, 50, 100 years, what is a message you'd like that person to hear? Could be about art, could be about Central Florida, just anything that's important to you that you think this person should hear.
First of all, I wish that in 100 years from now, things will be different in Puerto Rico. And that in the very near future, I wish that Puerto Rico will officially be part of the United States. There, I said it, I'm pro-statehood. And I think we have contributed a lot, not only to the arts, but to the economy and even the army of this country. So I think we should also thank Puerto Rico for their service. I think that would be the main thing. I think art should always be included in the school curriculum of children. The more art they do, whether it be art or music or writing, all those are arts, it would keep them out of trouble. We would have less troublesome kids if we could keep them busy more with those things, and not think about, drugs or anything. Even sports, get them more into sports. They don't like art, well, get them into sports, I think it's very important for the government to not cut funds in art programs like that because of the importance that they bring in the upbringing of good citizens, and the economy of the country. I bless the United States. Hey, God bless America. This is a great place. I am so proud of both being a Puerto Rican and be part of the United States. I am blessed. And I hope we can continue that and continue with the arts. And I just think there should be more programs and less cutting of funds for the arts. That's the main thing. Yeah, and more accessibility in college. I mean, our colleges have gotten so expensive; they're prohibitive. They're, give us a break. Yeah. It's hard to make a living with art after college. It's not easy. So, there should be more art education, more after school art education also.
So you want to show the painting?
Can we move this painting, or do I have to take the camera?
Can you take the camera around?
Yes,
Maybe I
I
can tell you about each painting.
Oh yeah, great.
Okay.
Are you gonna take this as well?
No, I'll turn off the
Okay.
audio recorder.
So we'll just continue on the camera.
Yeah,
Okay.
just unplug that right there.
I'm gonna take it.
Hang on, I think you gotta unlatch it too.
Yeah.
Do you know how, or do you need?
You can do it. You're already there. I just wanted to hold it before I have.
Yeah, okay. You got it?
Yeah.
Alright, there you go.
Okay, Mina, this is the time where you go
Okay.
in my room. Sit. Good, sit. Come on.
Okay.
Okay, let me
So-
put her in my room.
Oh, okay. So tell me if I can excuse you for a second, because we talked about this painting as well. So I could record that. We talked about this one.
That's La Madama.
Mm-hmm.
That was a psychic medium that my father saw when he went to Loíza in Puerto Rico. And he was so freaked out, I would say, about her accuracy that he never went back.
Mm-hmm.
So here we have a painting about the Vejigantes, the Fiesta de Santiago Apóstol in Loíza, which I attended to. And I got the inspiration to do a whole exhibit about the Vejigantes. This painting behind here is called Carbonero. It comes from the word carbón, which is coal. The coal is dark. This painting, I was very upset. Like I said before, when I did it in 2 days, completed in 2 days, and I won a Best of Show award at the Lake Worth Art League.
Is it any specific person's face?
No, it's just it's mainly depicting the face of a slave that is very tired about the injustices done with him at the time of the slavery in Puerto Rico. And he's looking in the distance, like wishing for some better future and everything. And at my own time, I was going through my own slavery that I didn't know how to get out. So all this anger just poured out of me, and that's how I completed this painting. And you can see the brushstrokes are very fierce, very violent. Yeah. And this one is like a classical look portrait of my daughter Christina.
Mhm.
And if we move over here in the corner, that's Jesus Christ of the Cosmos. You can see the Pleiades constellation and the Orion, and this is Sirius, the binary star system.
Mm-hmm.
And then over here we have this painting is called Reyes del Terruño, the Three Kings in Puerto Rico. And it depicts the tradition of how when we're kids in Puerto Rico we used to gather up like grass with our hands and corn and put it in a shoebox and leave it for the Three Kings camels, and they would leave toys in those boxes.
Cool.
Yeah. Traditionally, back then, when the Three Kings were alive, they didn't come in camels like they depict them. Those were some stamps that came out of Russia at that time that put them in camels. Camels was the means of transportation for the common people. But if you were royalty and they were on top of the king and everything, they ride in horses.
Mm-hmm.
So the horses is the correct way of depicting them. So, yeah.
And here it's from the Vigilantes.
That's part of from the Vejigantes exhibit. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And here we have more the
You have more Vejigantes there.
Vigilantes.
And also you have here, these are two Yoruba, which is another African Caribbean religion. They're priestesses of the Yoruba religion. And that one is Ochun of the river,
Mm-hmm.
which is everything about gold and love and wealth. She represents that. And this is Yemaya, which is Yemaya by the seashore, which represents everything about the power of the moon, the divine feminine, and all that. Yeah. And here's something my friend did. He's from Mexico, and he did this for me. Me painting.
It's kind of like a Dios de los Muertos.
Yeah.
Yeah. That sculpture's really nice, though.
Yeah, it was very cool.
And did you want to say something about the portraits?
Oh yeah, that was just a quick pop portraits of the blues singer that she passed.
Nina Simone?
No.
Aretha?
Aretha Franklin.
Yeah.
That one. Yeah. The name wasn't coming to me. Yeah, but that was like a quick sketch portrait. Also. And this is another portrait of my daughter when she was younger.
Mm-hmm.
With her school uniform. And Yeah, I should read this to you. This painting is about science meets religion, which I spoke to before, and how we should meet each other halfway. You know, I can read you what was said in the exhibit. The exhibit was called The Age of Aquarius, which the Age of Aquarius has brought awareness in the areas of science and spirituality.
Mm-hmm.
So I portray a peaceful encounter in which two conflicting subjects and the other accept and harmonize mutually. The angel represents spirituality in all world religions, while the astronaut represents science advancement, flight to the stars, and the conquest of space. So I have another Vejigante there. Then I had Frida. Frida in the tropics, like if Frida was in Puerto Rico. And that exhibited in City Hall. The one next to it is Eva del Paraíso, Eve of Paradise. Eva del Paraíso because she's next to a flower that's called Ave del Paraíso. But also because why do always they depict Eve as this Caucasian woman that was born someplace? No, maybe she was born in Puerto Rico, the first Eve, you know? And she looked Puerto Rican. So, yeah. And then there's my tribute to the Jokers that I've grown up with.
Did you see the new movie?
Yes, awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. And this is my workspace over here. I'm messing with all the paints and the brushes.
Okay. I think we can.
I think that's
You
it.
want to take that one?
Oh, yeah, sure. Do you want to say?
Oh, hi, everybody.
My tribute to Prince, the great musician Prince. And the other with the two horses is called Dueto en la Colina. It's 2 and 2. And behind there are the two famous mountains that they call the Tetas de Calle. Two twin mountains in Calle in Puerto Rico. And those kind of horses are like the common horse. They're not certain breed or anything. They're just common horses. You see people riding on them and everything.
And I just have to do a quick
Of the dog portrait?
of the dog portrait.
Do you want me to flip through it for you?
Oh, yeah, sure.
Okay.
Yeah, I can take it out. We can put it on.
Okay. So, like you said, this is the Afghan.
Afghan Hound. Klumberg Spaniel. Dalmatian.
I'm taking a picture of that one for. Well, I'll keep going.
Doberman Pinscher.
Beautiful.
That's a Yorkie. That's a
Pug, I think. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh.
And a Dachshund.
Oh. Wow, they're beautiful.
Beautiful colors, too.
Thank you.
Yeah. I was going to take my mother-in-law used to have dogs on.
Yeah, sure.
So I'm gonna turn it off now. Unless there's something. Oh, yeah, we didn't talk about that.
Famous poet Julia de Burgos. I did it more in like pop style. Yeah. I mostly paint in oils, but this one I did in acrylics because I had to bring it to the gallery like the day after. So I had to make sure it dried.
And over there, what is it? Tango?
Oh yeah, that's a tango. I used to take tango lessons also. It's a movement that they call ocho cortado, in which you go around with the But they're not only dancing tango, they're dancing it in the cobblestones of San Juan. Yeah.
Wow.
Beautiful.
Thank you.
All right. I think that's it. So thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I'm gonna turn it off now.